Okay. Good. All right. Everything's connected. Excellent. Hi. Let's just jump back in. So last time, tab got pretty much done in terms of color, right? These look nothing like they should. We're missing, all of our proper spacing values, like everything in here, including the corner radii, which we will have separate values for because you can see that we have rounded top corners, but then we're going to have to square those off and make these little feet. Maybe that's something we can finish up actually, is making those little feet. It's technically part of the dimensions, right? The space that a tab occupies. So we could save it for when we get to that collection, but I'm kind of inclined to just put the layers in so that way when we get there, we can like refine them. So I would like to steal those from my old file. This is the old way that I set it up. And remember, this was before variants. And so I had, I was using the slash naming to organize light and dark mode. And how did I do this? I must have, I had to use a group because we didn't have absolute positioning, but I needed these to exist outside of the frame. And I think what I did with that was just have a fixed width and then nudged these outside. But yeah, left curve, right curve, we'll just steal those, come back over. And now that we do have absolute positioning, we can plop these in. And actually this is relevant to color mode, right? Because we're gonna need these to look correct. And this is actually where we can get, this is good that we're doing this because you'll remember part of this component's API includes a property called active neighbor. Which of your neighbors, if any, are active? So, and that's going to impact kind of what these look like. So if I just drop these in to the top level, kind of doesn't want it. There we go. That would be the top level. That's obviously not correct. They don't need to be in the hover container. You'll remember that that hover container is there for inactive tabs. You can see I get this like blue color on hover, but the feet aren't going to be part of that. They're part of this outer container. So this is the right area, neighborhood for them to be in. We need our right curve on the right. And these should be absolute position, each of them. Oh, I feel like Figma made an announcement about when everybody was going to receive the new UI, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it was October 10th. I'm just anticipating that change. Okay, so left curve. Just going to nudge that to the outside. Right curve. Do the same thing, nudge that to the outside. Now, this would be the setup if this was the active tab, right? Both of those feet being visible like this, right? But this variant, we need to remember, it is not active, right? And so these feet, what we're looking at actually is something more like this, right? And in this case, like the neighbor to the right is the active tab. It does not have a left neighbor. I wonder if, oh, okay, so in this case then, we only need 1 foot to show up at a time, because if this is an inactive tab, that means one of its neighbors must be active, and then it's just a matter of which one. So we only need 1 foot to be present at a time. These little, I think feet's the right word. That's the word I want to use. So let's go ahead and add that property. It's a variant property. We'll call it active neighbor. And let's say that the left neighbor is our first active one. So we'll say left, and we will sort out the other variants soon. So I will delete that curve. So this needs to take on the color of what an active tab looks like. And if we go to our active tab variant, right? Active is true. Background, default active. And the direction of the foot is not quite correct here. So let's first go into browser, Chrome, and we want, this is the foot of an active tab. We need to remember that this little piece, even though it belongs to this variant, is technically, we're kind of, I don't know, it's not like smoke and mirrors necessarily, but this is a piece of anatomy that actually belongs to a tab that looks like this. So we're gonna apply that same fill, and what we actually need to do is rotate it and have it be on the inside and still pinned to the bottom left, still fixed, because what the setup's gonna look like here, yeah, again, if we change this frame to be running horizontally, we give ourselves some space here. I think these are set to fill. Yes, good. So if I turn this tag to be active, that's the effect that I want, right? This little foot belongs to the inactive tab. And the reason why we want to do it that way, because you might be thinking like, oh, well, you had it before, right? Why not just give the active tab its feet on the outside? Why are you giving its feet to inactive tabs? The reason why is because of like our limited ability to take something in the middle of an auto layout stack and have it be like z-index it to the front of the stack. If I go in here, right, canvas stacking, if something is on one of the extreme ends, its anatomy will appear to overlap its neighbors. But like, if, I wish I could, this diagram is helpful, right? Like in a stack of 3, in this case, we need one where active neighbor, we need this to be right? So let's make one of those. This will be right, and we will do the same thing. So I can demonstrate. So this needs to get nudged over to the right side. We will flip it horizontally again. Because if I gave these feet to this tab right now, the stacking order of this container is last on top, which means that, again, like let's give all of these kind of an inner stroke so you can really see what I mean. If I reduce the space between here and I give these a fill, so like let's go back to 0, right? So because like I need this to appear as if the item in the middle is more forward, right? Like let's actually set that up. I need these feet, even though yes, they visually belong to this middle tab, they need to belong to these other tabs in Figma, because I can't say in my auto layout stacking order, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. In my auto layout stacking order, I can't say middle item on top, right? So that's why some of an active tab's anatomy must belong to inactive tabs. That's the best way I could explain it. So let's reset everybody here. And what's going on here? we've got like this weird half pixel thing happening. And I think, yeah, let's update the name of that layer to right curve. Let's really make sure you're nudged over there. Oh, you know what's happening, I bet? I think, yes, because 89.33, these are set to fill. So there are going to be these weird circumstances where, yeah, there we go. If I give this some more space, it can do the math it needs to do to look correct. So is the slope of this curve correct? I have no idea. We could compare, but they are in place and they're using the correct variables. But I still need to get these other items sorted out, these other variants. In fact, I think that will mean actually duplicating one of these as well, because this is also an inactive tab, but we need those feet to show up. It's just, you know, we've got like the hover state going on. So we are just going to copy paste these little feet in. Left curve, right curve. This will be active neighbor is on the left. This is just the hover state. Active neighbor is on the right. This would be active neighbor none, right? Tabs behave much like radio buttons. You can only have one active tab at a time. Now, I say that in like 2024 when we can have, well, no, even in something like Arc, that's still true. I'm thinking of like a split view situation. You can only focus on one thing at a time. Now, I'm sure there's somebody out there with a fancy pants computer setup where you've got two cursors and you can somehow have two things active at once. We're not even going to go there. I feel like I saw a tweet about that, like something like some super developer with some crazy workflow. Like I've got like I'm doing multiple things at once, and I just, oh man, I am not a multitasker myself. So that seemed really wild to me, but good for them. It's always exciting when you can customize your workflow and really take ownership of it and work the way that is best for you. It's wonderful. Okay, so we have our feet. That was easy enough. We have our active neighbor property sorted out. We have active and state. If we go back to the inventory, that might sort us out. Oh, something for favicon. I don't know if I want that to be a component swap property, actually. Let's first do strike through there. I was thinking about that a bit, and we should fix this up. Right now, this is just a frame named favicon, but it's got this kind of weird styling. I would expect that folks are going to want to just put in images here. And so we can just have that be set to an image fill, right? The dimensions are correct. I don't know that there's much else to do. Maybe we load up the file with some examples, like this little Google favicon, but for now, I think that's fine. I wish here's something to look out for. Once Figma releases another variable type for images, that'll be really interesting, right? It gives us another way to target this. Like we could, if you wanted to, I mean, I don't know, I think that kind of gets, it encourages people to then use variables as like a content management system, perhaps, because I'm thinking like, oh, you could prototype something where it's like, we're going to add a new tab, and then we're going to go to this URL, and that URL has this favicon, like all that needs to be stored somewhere. In Figma, the only place to store it would be variables. But it would feel very automatic in your prototyping. It would feel really like all that just good stuff. It's less noodles, right? It's less less on the canvas, but definitely a lot more work, you know, in your, like it still needs to get set up somewhere. It's just moving the work to another location. And it is more efficient. I'm not saying we've been duped. No, but it is still work. Okay, tabs. So I've decided against the favicon property. I'm just going to delete that. Icon buttons would be another component. But part of me wants to kind of start building out the anatomy more, right? Like we've been working on tabs, but what if we worked on a layer that we know that we need, like bookmark bar, and then we'd really actually start building the browser window, right? It would start coming together. And perhaps we need to start, I mean, golly, it's kind of a mess over here, right? Got screenshots all over the place. I've got my not doing. I'm on a page called planning, but I do have componentry that I am considering, like this will be final at some point. So how to start working on this and stay organized. I think I want to put these pages, this is from old stuff. I want to use this dividing line to separate old and new. So we'll have our planning space, but let's have, let's temporarily, Figma is not a project management tool. I've written about this in a blog post about why I beef with emojis in page names, specifically in component libraries. Other files, local files, go off. Status emojis too, specifically status emojis, not something like this little guy, like this little informational thing. This isn't going to change. Statuses change though. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I think the first milestone that I've talked about hitting is having color theme done. And so I think what I'd like to do is have a page called color themed components. One moment, I'm just responding to a text message. Okay, and then what I can do is as components get finished with their color theming, I can cut and paste them onto this page to say like, they're done. And then like this will be phase 1, right? And then phase 2, we're anticipating our next phase is going to be the browser mode. I guess, right? So components will move down these pages as they get complete. So when we're ready to work on browser mode, or once this reaches, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had my pencil tool going. I don't know, but I want to separate things out to kind of keep track. Icons and user profile picture, I guess, can also move there, even though they're not really color theme dependent. But still, I want to keep things organized. We need to figure out how to unionize single vector or single layer vectors. We did figure that out. We figured that out last stream. It was thrilling. Shout out to Mihai. All right. What was I about to do? Oh, yes. The frame that becomes the tab bar. Tab bar. So what needs to go in the tab bar? Let's move some of these screenshots kind of out of the way. So tabs go in the tab bar, of course, as does, I think for both. I'm wondering if I want these window controls to be part of the tab bar, or if they go, oh, hello. If they go into like what's eventually going to be the larger parent frame, and we can absolute position them into that corner and then account for the space that they need using a variable. Okay. Right, because it doesn't belong to the tab bar. This is part of the operating system. So like, I don't even know what that code looks like. I've only ever built stuff for the web. So I think about like HTML. But I have no idea how you like what even language do you use to like create spacing and stuff, and like the scaffolding, the skeleton of, I guess, like a desktop app, right? Anyway, so what I'm getting at is I don't quite know where these are going to live yet, but they will be easy to move around. For now, I will make them part of the tab bar. We're going to need an icon button, so we won't be able to finish the tab bar. And then this is another icon button, but otherwise the tab bar only houses tabs. So easy enough. And this is where this background color comes in. Now, I think we've already established this. We had to do the tabs. So if I go into the variables, I'm going to go to this grid view. So we want browser, Chrome, tab bar, right? There we are. And yes, and we needed this both with like a fully opaque background and then at 0% because we needed that like little fade out for really long tab labels. So that's going to receive that color. We will need auto layout. Oh, you know what? What am I doing? We basically have one going right here. This is a tab bar. It is not using that variable, but that's easy to fix. How about, okay, I'm already finding myself wanting to get into the spacing, which I don't want to do. We need to make sure that light and dark mode is working for that. So for tab bar, yes, there it is, light and dark. I can put this in dark mode. Everything changes. It makes more sense to just leave auto layout do its thing and just hide it, especially because you will have the same thing on the other side, part of the tab bar. Yeah, I'm going to start there. We'll see at the end if I want to get weird about it. I also think that that's going to be what people expect too. Like, I want to be thinking of my consumers, and even if it's not like I shouldn't be optimizing for, oh, this is a perfect reflection of the real life product. Like, I've already done things where I've compromised, or yeah, I've compromised on that. So I shouldn't start now. And I should go for, if a consumer needs to reverse engineer this, where are they going to expect to find these little dots? And it's probably going to be in the tab bar, because just look at where it is visually. So let's get those little dots. I know I have them from a previous build. They're here, part of Chrome components. I'm going to grab a detached. I don't want any componentry in here yet. We're just going to grab shapes. I'm going to cut and paste here. And so that would get dropped into the tab bar like that. Now, we do need to figure out spacing at some point. For now, ooh, how do we want this to work? This is probably going to have like some sort of fixed height. Right now it's hugging. I don't think it matters the alignment, because we're gonna get the spacing sorted out like that. I cannot change, no matter how I squash and stretch this window. The height of the tab bar stays. So I might as well leave it to top left. And then we can get the spacing sorted out later. You can see here right now it's kind of wild. Does this need to be a component? Kind of, because I want those to be interactive, right? We can see when you hover over them. Oh my gosh! I'm not prototyping this. The Mac menu. Let's get these in here. So each of these little dots ought to be a component, because, and you can see I'm using ellipses here. I think instead I will use frames instead of shapes, because shapes are great for drawing, illustrating, but frames are more like divs, and I think will behave more nicely. I'm assuming that the colors are correct here. Oh, and you can see we've got like this really slight edge to these. So we will grab that. I'm just going to draw these guys. Oh my gosh, do these have... Why does it look like there is like the slightest curve? Like it's kind of like bulging out at me. Do you see that? Is this doing it? No. But the X is. Maybe it's an optical illusion. I don't know. The center seems bulkier than it ought to be. Like, I bet when I do this in Figma, I'm not going to be able to get that same effect. It's almost like, you know, in Illustrator, there's the width tool for strokes, and you can like widen the stroke further down a path. That's kind of, it looks like that's happening. Anyway. Yeah, weird. Okay, but cool. So that will be my default state. Might as well put auto layout. Oh my gosh, that got weird. Again, I don't appreciate, I don't, like, what is going on with this? New auto layout, trying to guess what I want, seems to do a bad job at guessing. Okay, this will be a variant set. This is something I miss in the new UI. I've been using the new UI at work, and I miss being able to come up here and create component set. So this is going to be Mac window control close. Oh my gosh. See, it overrode stuff. Those were set to fixed before. But because I added auto layout to this frame, like, let me live. Fixed width, 12. Golly. Hug. It's like, I know what I want. It's kind of interesting to think about. Like, I know that this, you know, auto layout, trying to make guesses about what I want, is probably massively helpful for somebody who is getting to know that feature and is not very confident with it yet, does not yet understand the mechanics of auto layout. Again, another blog post I have, I'm just gonna shamelessly plug right now because I know that this really, like, a lot of people get stressed about this. Like they sweat about it a lot. Why they struggle with auto layout is because they don't understand the mechanics. There's these little stumbling blocks that you need to be able to anticipate. And I think for me, it's like I'm having to relearn the mechanics because when I go to apply something, my decisions, which I know are correct because I know what I want from auto layout, get overridden. And so it's creating work for me. So it feels bad. For somebody who is getting started and learning, I think you get more hand-holding. June 27th. I need to remove this. I believe I've done all the updating I wanted to. But like in this GIF here, where you're using a slot, I call them placeholders, to inject content into something. When you get a really, like, because of your auto layout settings, when you get this crazy composition where things are spilling outside and you're like, it looks wild. It's, you know, people don't know what to do with these things called wrinkles, but they're just wrinkles. Like, just like in a shirt, you can iron a shirt. You can adjust your auto layout settings to smooth things out. It's going to be okay. Figma doesn't tell you how to do that, which is where I think it's useful over here that they're kind of starting to, like, they're kind of trying to iron out wrinkles for you. In my case, it is creating wrinkles because, so I wish I could tell Figma, like, I wish I could turn that off. You know, like, I know what I'm doing. Please let me, let me make my own wrinkles. It's okay if I make one, but for the tool to make it, it feels bad. Okay, off of my soapbox, I'm going to get back to building stuff. We have a state, we have default, and we have hover. Oh, this is not correct. What I'm doing is not correct right now. When you hover over the entire set, you get those little internal icons revealed. So we don't need to do these individual ones. Excellent. These do not need to be main components. But I do need to still prepare all the little shapes. I say all of that about my beef with auto layout, all of that with love, of course. I am glad if it does help less savvy users use the tool with more confidence, it is a good thing. I can adjust as a more seasoned practitioner. And I will adjust, right? Like, I think it's just a muscle memory thing. It's just knowing what the tool is going to do. I think I'm going to actually scale that up to like 4x4. This is a weird one. Ooh. This is a weird one. I'm just going to go with that. Flip this around. I'm going to collapse that into one shape and put that in there. Great. Okay. So we can rename these clothes. Oh my gosh. Don't you hate when you think you're renaming a layer, but then you're actually just doing like a bunch of keyboard shortcuts? Try Shift X to swap between the fill and the stroke. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that shortcut. That's a good one to that's a good one to have. Like Shift X. Yeah. Okay, I need to remember that one. Thank you. I do love a keyboard shortcut. I know that there's so many I don't know that I could. Okay. Good. We've got our layer names. And these go in an auto layout group, these go in an auto layout group, and then these become our component sets. So this will be Mac window controls. Let's make sure we have the same auto layout settings across everybody. Now watch what happens. Yeah, we've got hug on everything. Hug on everything. I'm going to apply auto layout to this frame. What's going to happen? Yeah, it's set to fill. Like, shut up. That's okay though. I'm learning what it's going to start doing. All these little misbehaviors. Okay. Cool. Set you to hug. And on hover, we want that to change. Okay. And now we can put this inside of this container. Oh, and this is not using auto layout. So we can delete those fellas. We've got Mac window controls, don't need that anymore. Buffer, oh my gosh, what is this? A rectangle? I wonder if, oh, I don't know why I would have done that. That's really wild to me. Anyway, put that in an auto layout frame. Let's do hug on all sides. God, why would I not want hug on? You usually want hug on all sides. That was their original default value that they would apply. I so am curious about why that's changed to, like, they're really prioritizing, or they're giving more priority to fill. And I'm very curious about that. Okay. I don't think I care about these settings yet because, again, we're going to get to spacing stuff later, but we have the anatomy in place and it is working as it should. This tab bar, right? We hover over that, we get the correct effect. Ooh, what are you doing? This, to me, this little jumping thing suggests to me that our tab, again, some auto layout nonsense, our tab variants have, aha, fixed. Jeez Louise. I want it to be hug. And that means the hover container. Oh, ooh, hold up. No, the hover container should be. I was incorrect. Okay, hover container needs to be fill. It must be. Which means that this outer container is fixed, but like it has to be here, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be. We could set those to fill as well. We also need a max width on these. Again, that's going to be part of space. We're not there yet. But when we're prototyping, there's going to be some things that you override. Like we can override these to be fill. And so now, what is this shape? Okay, super weird. So now, yeah, we're good. We get the correct hover states. Okay, excellent. So we've got that part of the tab bar done. Then we've got this like little vertical bar, this pipe, and then the icon button for adding new tabs. This guy, let's see. Oh, hold on, that exists between inactive tabs. And so if your active tab is not the last tab in the list, that will show up there. So again, similar to the little feet, I'm wondering where this piece of anatomy lives. It seems to belong to inactive tabs. And I think it's gonna, this is gonna be interesting. I agree. Okay, here's my first hunch. This is what I think. I believe that that little vertical pipe could easily be a component Boolean property, but you kind of need it to, like, it's only going to be part of inactive tabs, like the feet. And what do we need? We need to know, it's almost like like we care about, are you the very first or are you the very last tab in the list? Because if you're a tab in the middle, if you're a tab in the middle, like, do you only get one? I guess the first tab in the list is never, ever, ever gonna have a left little, we'll call it a pipe. It's not gonna have a pipe. So pipes could belong to the right-hand side of an inactive tab. So this would be pipe true, pipe true, pipe true, pipe true, and then this wouldn't be. And then pipe true for here. But now that one of our middle tabs is active, this one should not. I think that for that reason, it kind of makes sense for it to be a component Boolean property. I'm going to do it that way. So And what does it look like? Let's go back to our screenshots. Do we have this color sorted out already? Let's look. I wonder if this is one of those, if this is like the darker, or it's like a hover state. It's like black at like 10%. Like, did we figure that out? No, that's not quite it. I want to reread that comment that you just left me. Hi. We need to know what tab is active. Yes, you can use the same logic as for the small corner of the inactive tabs. That one I'm using variant properties for. And yeah, why do I feel inclined then to use hello, where did I just paste? Where did that little guy go? I think I lost that frame. I thought I pasted it in. Oh, but you're right, because it is dependent on like, is your left or your right neighbor active? But it also is like, it's not just which tab is active, but like, where are you? What is your position in the stack of tabs? Too. Because so a tab that has, imagining like we're kind of focusing on this one. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I forgot about Command Z. You know, I just saw somebody. There it is. Yeah, why did I lose you? Let's cut to my clipboard. Does it not let me do that? Cut. What? Hello? Cut and paste. What is going on? Wait up. Okay, I can make copies. Why can't I cut and paste this frame? That was weird. Super weird. Oh, okay, I thought we had this color. Hold up. Yeah, this is the tab inactive hover. So I think I want to save that as like maybe a variable elsewhere. Anyway, I saw somebody complaining about the sensitivity of Figma's undo. Because it is really sensitive, right? You can undo just making a selection on something, which I actually really appreciate. It can get it's very specific. Oh, I had the variable panel open. Oh, tricky. Okay. Right, the line's only on the right. Okay, let's just try this. Let's just do, so we've got this little 2-pixel guy. We'll call this pipe. Oh my God. And we know that it only ever appears on the right-hand side. I think we need it to use absolute positioning to get it in the right spot. We can refine that later. So it won't ever show up on these variants because these suggest that the neighbor immediately to the right is active. So it will only show up on tabs that are inactive and has an active neighbor to the left. Is that true? Not true for this one. Oh, we need to have, this isn't complete. Oh my gosh. There needs to be a none option. Like, for example, this is an inactive tab, but it has no active neighbors. So let's duplicate these. Active neighbor none. I forgot about that entirely. And then no feet. So Let's put pipe in, put it on the right, absolute position. I'm going to put it just slightly outside. Yeah, because it's not, I'm looking at this hover state and how that happens. It goes away on hover. That's something else too. So it's not going to be present here. It's only these two. Paste that in on both. We'll leave it like that for now. And let's actually set up, we go back to planning. Oh, and then what does it look like in dark mode? Hold on, that's what we're doing. We're focusing on color modes here. So variables, inside of tab, we have foreground elements. We've got our inactive tabs and the foreground here. So we'll name it after the layer. We'll call it pipe, and it belongs to inactive tabs specifically. Put this at the bottom of the list. In light mode, inactive inner background hover. Yeah, it's using the same one. And then in dark mode, it is not using the active. Oh, I can just grab, hold on. We go back to planning and we just scroll down. We can find, I'm sure we can find. No, I don't have a screenshot. Okay. No worries. There we go. Please. Okay, it's probably because I have this dialog open. I keep losing my screenshots as I drag them in, and I think it's because I had that color picker open. Just put it on the canvas. All right, variables. Where was I? Inactive tab, dark mode for the pipe. Zoom way the heck in. Give me, oh my gosh, and I can't see my little preview guy. Give me that color. It didn't even place it, my gosh. All right, good. So now, I'm just gonna delete that screenshot. So now when I come back to my tab bar, wait, what is this? This weird little half moon. And we need to active neighbors to the right. Oh, hold on. Okay, it's way out here. Oh, because I have the constraints are incorrect. We want this pinch to the right. And probably center vertically. So that will put it in the correct spot. And geez Louise, let's go back. It also needs to be using the right variable because right now it's in dark mode, but not showing the correct color. So if we go to our inactive tabs and we apply pipe, there it is. Good. Now here's something else though. This is not correct because to get this to show up, I had to say active neighbor left. Oh no, that's never mind. Never mind. But still, that's not entirely true. Like the last item in the list does not have an active neighbor to the left. But because it's the last item in the list, and you can always, always, always add more tabs. Ah, so this, and I guess that's right. I just said that that was true for this one as well. This does not have an active neighbor to the left. It is the first in the list, or this one. This is tricky. And I think that's why I kind of wanted to do a component Boolean property to start, because it's not dependent on a certain thing being true. It's just you have to kind of manually apply it. Uh, hmm. Let's actually like double that real quick. Active neighbor none. Oh, I already took care of this a little bit. I'm sorry. Ugh, okay. Let's do one more of these so we can really kind of test this out. And I'm going to switch back to light mode. I feel like it's easier to look at. Stretch this out a bit. Okay. So this is correct. We've got a pipe. This is correct because the active neighbor's to the right, and so we do not need a pipe. This is correct. Active neighbor's to the left. Active neighbor none. Okay, no, never mind. I was freaking out for nothing. I don't know why. Okay, I sorted it out. I just got myself all turned around about it is the thing. Okay. I think we're good. So when I thought last time the tab was done, it was indeed not done. We made quite a bit more progress on that. We've started making progress on tab bar. I don't know if tab bar is not complete. We need this icon button and this icon button. And I'm looking at the time. It is 5 minutes to the hour. I might cut this one short. Maybe next stream I can catch up on icon buttons, and we can get those in the tab bar, and we'll keep going. TBD, if I'm going to stream tomorrow, I have some things happening Monday afternoon that I'd like to prepare for over the weekend. So I'll schedule a stream when I feel like I'm able to. But as always, thank you, Mihai, for joining. Anybody else who joined, I encourage you to get in the chat too. And yeah, making good progress. I mean, the tab bar is a lot of the anatomy of the browser. So we are, approaching, for Chrome specifically, halfway, which is exciting. All right, cool. Have a good